Good morning and welcome to my Rise and Shine routine. The equipment you'll need today is a foam roller, a tennis ball, and you might enjoy using a pillow today and it might help you, but that's not necessary. Okay, so we're just gonna wake up with a little roll out of the feet. So really give your arch a lot of love, the heel, midfoot kind of area, and just kind of think about inhaling and exhaling really deep just to kind of wake things up. If you're still sleepy and you need to hold on to something, totally do so. We're just going to do about 30 seconds per side so you can switch whenever you're ready. Today is all about energizing, waking up on the right foot with some good intentions of just feeling better, stronger, more mobile, more stable. So whatever you feel like achieving in this workout, you're more than welcome to. If you don't have any intentions for this workout, then just follow along with me and I'll take good care of you. All right, that's really all we needed the ball for. So now we're gonna walk through a little foam rolling sequence. If you've never used the foam roller before, I'm gonna walk you through it. So we're gonna start with the calves. I'm just gonna get kind of on the far third of the foam roller, and you can see that I'm kind of focusing on right at the ankle all the way up behind the knee, and that's kind of the length of the calf muscle. So we kind of want to hit those origin and insertion points, so just right behind the heel and right behind the knee. And then if you want to get the muscle belly a little bit as well, that can feel good. I'm just using my hands and my other foot, I'm just going to turn so you can see that, just to kind of push my body back and forth. And you can apply as much or as little pressure as you'd like, depending on how sore you're feeling, or just how much kind of uncomfortableness you can handle. It is supposed to feel slightly uncomfortable because you're kind of doing some what's called myofascial release, or just kind of getting some of that junk out in the muscles just by, pushing on it. Essentially, that's what we're doing. So I switch to the other side here. You can see I'm kind of rolling my foot side to side to get both sides of my leg, both sides of the calf. Again, focusing kind of on that ankle area and then just behind the knee, and I'm just pushing back and forth with my arms and my other leg, and that's kind of how I'm foam rolling. So just kind of take your time. It is tiring for some, so don't be afraid if you need to stop for a little bit, or I'm doing one leg at a time. You can also do both legs if you'd like. Now we're gonna get the hamstrings, so I'll kind of move to where you can see me. I'm going to start just behind the knees, which is where we kind of ended our last one. That's where the hamstrings sort of start, and then go all the way up just where the bum is, and give those muscles, those hamstring muscles, some love. I'm just kind of going up and down on the muscle here. I'm doing both legs at first, and then we'll split it up into one leg at a time, so you can either stay there, or you can see here I'm just moving all the way to the edge of the roller now. And positioning is really important. So where you start, it will just kind of make the experience good or bad. So here's how you do it with one leg. You can kind of use more body weight that way on one leg versus both. Yeah, and just kind of using the whole length of the hamstring there. Again, really focusing on the origin and insertion points, but getting the muscle belly if you'd like. All right, let's do the hip flexors next. So I'm just going to I'll show you from a few angles. You're going to take the corner of the foam roller and basically get your pocket muscles, your hip flexors. And it's a smaller surface area, so you can just go back and forth using your arms. And the leg I'm not rolling, that knee is actually what I'm using to move back and forth. So you'll be able to see from the side here. But you really can't mess it up. Here I'm kind of rolling down to get the quads a little bit. But if you're really sore, that can almost be painful. So just take your time and do as much or as little as you feel like you're able to. See how I'm using my knee now? I'm on the other leg. And I'm just using my knee and my hands to kind of go back and forth. So get the hip flexor, and then if you want to get the quad on that side a little bit, you're more than welcome to. Just kind of showing you from these other angles. And if you need to hit pause and just spend more time because you're sore, or if you've done foam rolling before and you know what you're doing, you just kind of want to get maybe a little bit more in detail, that's totally fine. We're just kind of breaking things up. Maybe you had a hard session yesterday, or you didn't sleep great. We're just going to kind of get all the junk out, if you will. All right, so now we're going to do both quads at once. So of course you could do this with just one leg if you'd like. I'm just going to show with both. So starting at the hips and going down to the knees, getting the full length of the quads, the front of the legs. Okay, awesome. And that's your foam roller sesh. Now, if you want to grab a pillow for this next piece, you don't have to. I just have this nice little for my massage table, and I just like using it. So if you'd like to use one, great. We're going to do a little figure 4 glute stretch. So we're just going to start here. Just apply a little bit of pressure at the knee if it feels right for you. Otherwise, you can just lay your hands on the ground. So this is level 1. Level 2, you can make it a little bit more intense by grabbing just behind the knee. You can keep your leg straight or your leg bent. And we're just going to stretch out that glute. So we're going from foam rolling into some static stretching, and then we're going to do some more dynamic stuff just so you guys know what's ahead of you in this little wake-up session. Deep inhales and exhales here. Deep inhales and exhales. Let's start with level 1 on the other side. Just breathing in and out. Kind of push on that exhale if you'd like. So when you breathe in, it just feels like you're filling yourself with energy and daylight and sunshine and energy. And also just great work showing up, starting your day, doing something for yourself. It might be the only time you have just for you today, so enjoy it. All right, so that was the glute stretch, levels 1 and 2. Let's just take this right into a forward bend. You can ground yourself behind your knees, behind your calves, or right at your instep, but we're just gonna spend some time here, so take some deep breaths and enjoy it. Nice work. Way to give the hamstrings and low back some love. All right, now we're just going to give our ankles some love. You can prop it up onto your pillow if you'd like. Just make sure you position it like I couldn't really reach there. If it doesn't feel right to use something, then don't do it. I'm just... whatever works for you. Crossing one leg over another is really great. Just so that that foot is off the ground a little bit. You could also do this in a chair. And that's probably, actually thinking about it, the best way to do this. And we're just going to give that ankle some love. So we're just going to rotate, point, flex. You could do this without assistance if you'd like. You don't have to do this like I am, where you're assisting it. I've done a lot of just regular ankle circles, ankle mobility, and I want to try some different stimuli for my ankles and see if it helps in my swim kick. So I'm just kind of taking you guys along for that journey. So I invite you to do that or not. Kind of ended with some pointing and flexing in the foot. So again, let's go to the other side. I'm kind of just elevating by crossing my feet, but if that's not a position you can get into easily, you can also just sit or just go right from a pillow or a roller like I am here. You could use your foam roller, just something to keep your foot off the ground as you do some mobility, either assisted like I'm doing, or you could do it unassisted and just do some ankle circles, nice and slow. Some point and flexes to end. Like I said, I'm really trying to work on my kick in swimming, so hence the focus there. Okay, this is another one I'm really into right now. We're just doing some windshield wipers. So I have one hand on the front of my knee. I'm holding right behind my knee because I don't want my hip to take over and like my whole leg to rotate side to side. I'm just focusing on the rotation through my knee and in my shin box. So your foot is flexed, not pointed. And we're just rotating that foot right to left like a windshield wiper. Just doing about 12 on each side. So you can switch whenever you hit about 12. So I'm going to the other side here. You want to keep one hand on that tibia so you can feel that rotation. Sometimes that helps build good awareness. If you're somebody that needs to work on body awareness, I invite you to do that. Can't let a workout go by without doing some cat-cow for the spine. So especially in the morning time, just like you're waking up, it's almost like we should have started with this one, right? Just breathe in. If you want to get the neck involved there, great. If the neck's too tight, if you slept kind of weird, just keep the neck neutral. But I want to get your pelvis, your spine, and your neck as involved as you feel able. You've got a lot of vertebrae in your spine, so don't do this so that you're really only using 2 vertebrae. Try to really get in touch with that whole spinal cord, spinal column. And just deep inhales and exhales as you feel with the movement. Awesome. That always feels better. Okay, so we're going to do hip cars. We're going to start with extension. So just drive the knee back, rotate the knee and the foot inwards towards the elbow, drop it in, flex at the hip, rotate out, rotate back, and you're back to the start position. So we're just going through the movements of the hip. Hip extension, hip rotation, adduction, hip flexion, hip abduction, rotation again, and a little flexion. I'm choosing to start with the extension first because usually I start with the flexion piece. And I just kind of like reviewing the movements of my hip in my head as I go through these. Just taking your time as you rotate, as you extend. So you're pushing back, lift the heel to the ceiling, rotate the foot inwards as the knee comes to the elbow, bring the knee in, flex at the hip as much as you can, rotate it away and back to that start position. So really you're just kind of exploring all the spaces there. You could go much slower than I am. I wouldn't want you to go any faster, but just kind of saying movements in your head. That's one thing I work on with my athletes, is just telling them this is what your joint is doing now. Okay, so we're going to switch to the other side. Here's the adduction, flexion, abduction, rotation, flexion again. Big focus on the extension piece. That's why I kind of wanted to start there today. And that way you can kind of separate the hip flexion from the adduction too. So kind of some fancy words, but all I'm really saying is what your hip is doing. And these are the movements that your hip needs to be able to function well. Otherwise, when you're doing an activity and your brain knows your joint can't do that, it'll just kind of redirect it somewhere else. And that's how we get chronic injuries oftentimes. So it's almost like we're kind of spraying some WD-40 in those joints, just reminding your joints what they can do and what they were designed to do. Really good. Okay, 2 ways you can do this next one. I'm going to show level 1, which is just keeping the leg at 90 degrees, so like a fire hydrant. So that's level 1. Level 2, so you can stick with level 1 or go right into level 2. We're just going to keep the leg straight, and everything's just like parallel to the hip. So just about 12 aside, keeping the core strong, kind of moving into our activation segment of the core and glutes so that you go throughout your day really strong and feeling good. Again, there's level 1 on the other side. If you'd like to try level 2, go ahead. Just avoid bending the elbows, keep that core engaged. So kind of like you're wearing a corset, just pull in and keep that diaphragm engaged. Exhale as you lift. About 12 reps per side is what we're doing here. And we're just going to take it into some shoulder mobility now. So we're just going to lay on the ground. I like to turn and watch my hand here. So my elbow's at 90 degrees from my shoulder. My wrist is relaxed. And I'm just lifting my hand off the floor. Avoid doing this all at your wrist. Okay, this is a shoulder exercise, not a wrist exercise. So just remind yourself of the joint we're actually mobilizing and strengthening. And we're just going to do 10 to 12 and then switch sides. If your shoulder is really not feeling great, instead of doing this, you can just do child's pose and take some deep breaths. You don't have to elevate your back feet. It's just if a pillow's there, I'm sorry, I'm going to use it because I'm just a lady of luxury when it comes to recovery training lately. Again, just keeping the wrist quiet so you can work that shoulder. We're working rotation here. And again, mobility training is strength training. It's just strength training more targeted at the joints versus like the muscles. So it's really the most important form of strength training out there, if you ask me, but I'm partial. Okay, we're going to do a glute bridge to a roll. So you're going to go up into a glute bridge. You can just do the glute bridges if you'd like. Okay, but here's what I want you to try to get into for a nice little, some spine love and some like arm shoulder reaching. Okay, so as you bridge, you're going to roll into the opposite shoulder, reach across. And I just have a little target there, the corner of my treadmill and that tennis ball. And sometimes having a little target just makes it a little bit more engaging. So we're working the glutes, the core, the spine, a little bit in the shoulders and lats there. Just getting a nice glute bridge to roll in, breathing with it. Gorgeous exercise. I always find these really energizing. Like it's stretching me out, but it's also a good workout too. Okay, and next we're going to do a Shin Box Tripod. So we're going to get into the 90-90 position. And we're just going to lay the legs side to side. So you could just stay here if you'd like. If that feels weird, or if you want to sit on a pillow or sit on like a roller like this, you can. For some people that feels better. For me, it really doesn't, but I wanted to demonstrate it in case it's something that might feel better for you. I don't want to not give you some options. So you can keep the hands behind you, or as we move into the shin box portion, which is this, you can keep your arms up. So it's a 90-90 rotation, and then we're just going to pop our hips off the ground. And if you need some assistance, like if it's hard for you to get up, you can put your feet on the ground, or your hands on the ground, one in front, one behind you. But this is just a really great way to get hip mobility, a little bit of glute work, a little bit of hip openers. If you need to move your feet around, sometimes when you're going in the 90-90s, your feet can sneak in or out, which makes it challenging. So just don't be afraid to move your feet around so you can do this movement. Really great for kind of the entire lower body. It just feels really awesome. Just a good way to wake up. If you need to hold on to something, put your hands on the floor, definitely do so. This is all about doing things that work for you this morning, not comparative to any other morning or comparing yourself to anyone else. Okay, great job, you guys. Way to wake up strong. I'll see you for my next workout. We are going to do a lunch break workout, so stay tuned for these short little breaks in your day, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.